Hi there, it's Denise Eckert, and I love coming on here and sharing different techniques, ideas to lower the stress in your life. We're going to talk a little bit about breath work. And today I have got Jenny Cheifetz, who is a life and breathwork coach from New Hampshire. She lives with her husband, two dogs, and is approaching empty nesthood. She works with high achieving women who want to learn to prioritize themselves, incorporate self care, and experience success, both personally and professionally. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you so much, Denise. I'm thrilled to be here.
What inspired you to do this type of work, Jenny?
That's a beautiful question. And before I answer that, I just want to say I love what you're doing with this show. I find your guests to be not just interesting and smart, but really relatable and inspiring. That even though their bios are extensive and sometimes intimidating, what they've come on and shared has been just incredibly valuable to my life. So I want to just give you credit for that.
Thank you so much.
Um, yeah,
It's a lot of work, to be honest with you.
I know it well. And so I salute all the others doing it. So I found my way into this work in an unexpected fashion. I've said in many other interviews that I found the silver lining of the pandemic by doing personal growth work. I grew up knowing about therapy and dabbling in therapy, but as far as working with a coach and exploring those kinds of approaches to growth and healing, I had never done. So I found myself at the beginning of the pandemic scrolling Instagram, and an ad came up on my screen that spoke to me. And it was shocking how the universe communicates with Google and the algorithm and sends you what you need to see. And so I saw this ad. It spoke to everything that I had been nicely packaging and bottling and stuffing within me. And I said to myself, now's as good as any time to get cracking on this. So I had signed up for a group program, which led to another, which led to another. And then that first coach that I started working with introduced me to her mentor, who's certified in coaching programs. And I thought to myself, wow, this is really interesting. I stopped the business that I had been doing prior to the pandemic, which was baking, and found myself questioning the next plan and thought, all right, I guess this is it. Got the sign and followed the breadcrumbs. So I took a life coaching certification course, and that same mentor also certified in breathwork, something I had never heard of. There were some modalities I was familiar with. I knew meditation. A girlfriend of mine had introduced me to tapping years before, but I didn't know breath work. And I had maybe only tried yoga a few times. So this was very new territory. But I admit fully it was a little bit of FOMO set in. And I thought, I don't want to not do it and miss out. So I took that certification course as well. And by doing the training and participating, we were required to participate in so many sessions on ourselves before we could work with others. And then it settled into me that, oh, this makes sense. I get it.
I love breath work, especially when you're really busy and you've got a lot swimming around in your head. I don't find meditation. I can't just stop. So
Yeah.
that's why I like breath work.
Mhm.
So can you talk a little bit why breath work works for us?
Yeah. And you basically hit on that really well as an introductory thought, which is so many high achieving, productive, busy, impressive women get flooded with thoughts. And there's always something, Denise. There's always that next thing. I'm busy with my work right now, but do I need to pick up dry cleaning? And I have to return that book to the library. And of course, there's dinner, but wait, I need to shop first. It's endless. And so, as you alluded to, this idea of meditation can be just too too big, too grand, and unachievable. So then, of course, more thoughts come up as why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? Why everybody else meditates, and I just saw all these influencers meditating, and I heard that Serena Williams meditates. Why can't I? the thing with our breath, okay, we can all breathe. That's something we can attach ourselves to you don't need equipment. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need any special device or anything to do it. Just the ability to sit. I don't mean literally, but be, because this works great in line at the grocery store or say in traffic or in a carpool line if you've got children you're picking up, when you're sitting in your car before entering that next place, appointment, work, home. If you could just be and give yourself, I'd say a minimum of a minute, ideally three, take 3 minutes. And a lot of times I'll suggest to people to just turn on a song, do it for the length of a song. And you talk a lot about stress relief. That's the number one intention, I would say, people bring to breath work. We can breathe for an endless number of intentions, but most people just want to reduce stress and feel calm.
Now, what does it actually do to our bodies and our brain?
Oh, beautiful.
What's
So
the guts
if
of it?
Yeah, yeah. And I was just recently at a retreat myself where the person running it was not a breathwork person. She did infuse it, but she's more of a tapping and hypnosis person. But she used alternate nostril breathing, which anyone can Google. You could do it with a YouTube video. The idea of focusing on your breath, whether it's alternate nostril breathing or a simple inhale exhale pattern, either inhale through the nose, exhale from the mouth, or using just your nose, when you focus on the breath, like really pay attention to breathing, you do by default drop from your busy brain. Yes, you might have some thoughts, and that's not wrong. We're not wronging ourselves for having thoughts because that's normal. But when you focus on the breath, there's less thought. There's less attention put on the to do list and the chores and all the activities. It's focus on your breath. And when you bring in an intentional deep breath, we're getting out of that chest breathing, that panicked, when you think of hyperventilating, when you think of, I'm in a chaotic situation, I got to flee. That's that. We want to avoid that. And many of us are doing that all day long without even realizing because we're busy, we're getting stuff done. So when you slow it down and get into the lower lung, when you're really deepening the breath, you can welcome in the parasympathetic system and fall into that calmer state that is less stressed, less overwhelmed, less knee jerk. So if you're trying to be a more rational, less impulsive, less combative, less emergency type person, your nervous system is doing that by virtue of you slowing down the breath and focusing your attention on it.
And you know what I read not that long ago was that with doing a longer exhale, you're actually telling your brain that you're safe and that it takes you out of that fight, flight, or freeze crap
Yeah.
that we constantly put ourselves into because we're always running around in
Yeah.
that stress zone. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that?
Completely agree. Like I said, we create our own drama very often. Yes, there are deadlines in life and bills need to get paid. Kids have to get picked up at school. There are things that have deadlines, but not everything is a 5 alarm fire, 10 on the emergency scale. Not everything is red zone, but we act like it is. And we've created a society. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole of social media and technology and the news cycle. But when we get into ourselves, and I've heard other of your guests mention this, when we can get still and just be present, all of a sudden, all right, so that library book was due a week ago. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to be arrested. I'm not going to lose my house over it. It's okay. I'll get to it. What is really important right now? Oh, okay. I just fell and my knee is bleeding. Okay, maybe that requires some attention. Okay, but the fact that the washing machine buzzer went off a half an hour ago, so what? So it sits for a little bit. I'll get to it. We just, we have to remind ourselves. And I think when we can breathe, and again, this can be done anywhere, anytime, we allow ourselves to get out of that stressed, urgent, it needs to be done right now mindset.
So, how does breath work compare to other modalities?
I love a lot of things. I love tapping. I love getting in nature, being outside, getting vitamin D, being with my pets, moving my body, doing it with a friend, getting that dopamine hit. There are a lot of things that I enjoy. The thing about breath work is, like I said, you don't need a lot of time. Yes, you can do longer sessions. You can do 20, 30, 40-minute sessions, and that's great. And I highly recommend sprinkling those in. But this is something that you could do many times a day in any situation. No one knows you're doing it. So it's not like you're getting into some lotus position in the middle of the grocery store. You can stand there in line, rest your hands on your cart, and breathe for the 3 minutes that you're waiting to get up to the belt. You can do it in traffic. You can do it if you're at a function, at a social situation, and all of a sudden you're feeling overwhelmed, the noise, the people, someone triggered you because they mentioned that they got a promotion and you didn't, and now you start going down the rabbit hole of identity crisis. You can excuse yourself, turn the corner, go into a stairwell, go into the bathroom, and breathe. So you can do it. That's the thing I like about breath work, is just it's so accessible.
Absolutely. Now, there are different ways of doing it. Count this and nostril that. What's your favorite way of doing it, or what do you find most effective?
Yes. Okay. So there are a variety of patterns, a variety of methods of doing breath work. And people can Google, they could go to my website, they could go to my Facebook page and see all kinds of examples. Honestly, think about how many times in your life that you have said to yourself or someone else, take a breath, just chill out, take a breath. That's really so powerful when you can just pause what you're doing, relax your body, because it's important that your body be in the right physical state. So drop your shoulders, soften your face, unclench your fists if you're all jacked up, soften your body, and really just intentionally. So when I say intentionally, either both focus on the breath, but also focus on that intentional thought of, I'm bringing in peace. I'm calming down. I desire serenity. Bliss. Focusing on that, and then sometimes adding in sound. So again, this is going to be situation dependent. You might not do this in the middle of the boardroom with a bunch of your colleagues around, but if you're able to, if you're in your car or you're in the privacy of your home, now adding that sound with the exhale. So it's ah, it's like really taking that leaf blower and like cleaning up the yard. And then if you really want to take it up a notch, bringing in movement. So maybe if you're standing up, you thrust your body down to the ground with that exhale. And so you've got the breath, the sound, and the body moving to expel this energy. It's energy that's stuck within us, Denise. It's like all the thoughts, all the to-dos, all the pressure is just, and not to mention all the past trauma, the memories, the angst, everything we've been through. It's all within us if we don't process it. So using the breath, we can vacuum out all this, sort of the reverse of a vacuum. It's like that blower of just get it out.
Now, for our audience today, could you do a short breath session?
Yeah, sure.
So, for
Sure.
anybody who's listening, if you're driving or something, please be careful. But
Yeah,
yeah, let's do a quick breath session just to give
sure.
the audience an idea of how powerful it is.
Yeah. And if someone wanted to pause the podcast and turn on their car radio to classical or something and have this going at the same time, having a little background music or ocean waves or some kind of frequency music that feels good, that's great too. And again, they can do that on their own anytime, putting on something stress reducing, peaceful. And I would say just all right, let's come into the space. Sit if you're able to. That would be my recommendation in this moment is to have a seat, let your body soften, drop the shoulders, relax the face, the brow, the jaw. If you can remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth and just let it drop and just notice all the parts of your body, all the parts that might be holding tension. And we'll begin with just a couple of deep breaths on your own of just inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and just give yourself permission to be present, to be with your body. See if there's any spots, any little nooks and crannies of your body that are holding any tension, feeling any discomfort, queasiness. In this moment, we just want to connect with our bodies. Most of the day, we are telling that communication line to break off. I don't need to listen. No, I don't need to eat right now. No, I don't need to go to the bathroom. No, now we want to fuse that line of communication. What is the body trying to tell you? And if there are any spots, the heart center, your your gut, your hips, if there's anywhere that's feeling tight, constricted in any way, see if you can send the breath to that spot and just loosen it up, soften it, make space. And now I would like to invite in this beautiful intention of reducing stress, feeling calm, and let's begin a cycle where we will inhale through the nose, exhale from the mouth, continuously, one breath into the next. You choose the pace, you choose the intensity. It's whatever your body tells you feels right, feels safe. And so I would welcome in a minute or two right now, just doing that continuous breath. And you can choose whether you sigh out the breath or blow out the breath. It can be like blowing out candles or just having that deep, relieving sigh. I desire peace and tranquility. I am someone who embodies peace and serenity. I create calm. And you just repeat that pattern as long as you want, as long as your body tells you it desires it. And if it feels good to put a hand on the belly, a hand on the heart, and just giving your body some gratitude, sending some gratitude to this vessel that does so much for you, that takes on the burden, of all the tasks. Thank you, body. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Now, I understand you do have an energizing breathwork session available to the listeners. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when it comes to intention, we can breathe, we can do breath work for any desired state. So, a lot of times, as I mentioned, it is to reduce stress and get out of the chaos. It could also be to work through grief or other traumas, to bring in a sense of joy, passion, connection with others. Or it could simply be to feel energized, to lift the spirit. Maybe it's first thing in the morning and you just want to get some pep in your step. Maybe you just got bad news and you want to shake it off and remember all the other good stuff in your life. So we can breathe with this intention of lifting us as opposed to coming down from the anxiety. So a lot of breath work is to reduce the swirling thoughts. This is to boost us. So that session has poppy music and a different kind of breath pattern to bring us into a heightened, not heightened in the sense of anxiety, but higher vibration.
That sounds amazing.
It's just so interesting how, and it was one of your other guests who mentioned how we don't go to the bathroom. I think that was what she said.
Yeah.
And I've said that so many times. We just tell ourselves, not now, cross your legs, and it goes away. Somehow it goes away. The sensation, we come back to it later. What happened in there that shut off? And we do that all the time with overwhelming thoughts, traumatic or negative experiences. And when I talk about trauma, Denise, I want to clarify that it could be anything. We have all experienced trauma. Some people get caught up in the, I wasn't kidnapped or I didn't experience war. What do I have to complain about? Did a teacher ever insult you publicly? Were you ever teased on the school bus?
Yeah.
Did your parents ever say something really harsh that just landed so profoundly that you've carried that your whole life, ultimately feeling like a disappointment, a letdown to people, like a failure? That's trauma. And it's within us, no matter how much busyness, it's like the treadmill that you just put the clothes on top of. There's still a treadmill there, no matter how much stuff you want to put on it. That's the stuff within us. No matter how much good stuff happens, how busy, how many tasks, how many balls are in the air, it doesn't change the fact that there was something really painful in there that you didn't deal with. Is that you get to work through these things without talking to anyone, without having to express in words. And that can be really comforting to people who might acknowledge that there's some stuff in there, some trauma, some ickiness, but maybe they've created a protective mechanism. I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to talk about it with anyone. You don't have to talk about it in breath work. In breath work, your body is doing the work for you. All you need to do is breathe.
I
And
love that.
that's a very nurturing, supportive reality that you can work through your stuff without having to say words that you may have labeled as bad or upsetting. I don't want to tell my parents that such and such happened. That would only hurt them. You don't have to. You just need to breathe.
Number one, you don't have to. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to include anybody else, and it's free.
Exactly. All those things. We all have a body. You don't have to go buy a yoga ball. You don't have to go sign up for classes. Sure, if you want to sign up for breath work with me, I'm here for it. But you can do this anywhere, anytime. All you need is your body.
I love that. Yeah. So we're going to be wrapping this up. So what are your final words of wisdom to the audience today, Jenny?
What I love to tell people is that self-care, very buzzword right now, but self-care is not a luxury, it's a priority. And breathwork is a form of self-care. And when you take that perspective, it becomes joyful, it becomes critical to do this for yourself.
And I think too that once you created that awareness and you plug in the breath work into your day, it makes all the difference.
Mm,
Like it really makes
yeah.
all the difference because
Yeah.
then you're not stressed out, you're focused, you're not irritable, you're pleasant to be around. Everybody loves a happy person.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Yeah, happy Jenny is way more likable than grumpy Jenny.
yes, exactly. Same with the grumpy Denise. No.
And I've been told that. So, yeah, so just breathe, just breathe. It's so easy. And one more thing I would add for your listeners is really take into consideration those transition moments, the going into the office, going back to your home after a busy day, before a doctor's appointment, before a school conference, whatever might be most jarring. All you need to do is sit in your car, stand outside the door, be in the waiting room, and do this. No one has to know. No one, doesn't involve anyone else. This is just you and your breath.
And thank you for sharing that because transitioning can be so powerful as well. Because there's
Mhm.
nothing worse than having a bad day and then bringing it into your family. And yeah, and then all chaos breaks loose again, right?
Yeah. And then we fall into that spiral of chaos follows me wherever I go. I can never get a break. Why me? You get to shed all of that
Yeah.
with just a couple minutes of breathing.
And yeah, it's only a couple minutes.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you so much,
amazing.
Jenny. So, wherever you're watching or listening to this, I will have Jenny's information. So, feel free to reach out and ask her any questions. And thank you so much, Jenny. That was such amazing information. And thank you for sharing your breath work with us today. And
Thank
I'm going to leave you a gentle reminder to slow down and enjoy life. And I'll see you in the next episode.